Hello, Blazers. Welcome to episode 168 of UAB Green and Told, originally debuted on Monday, January 26th, 2026. This podcast is your connection to the stories of the UAB community. Explore past episodes at alumni.uab.edu/greenandtold on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. And while you're there, leave a review to help more Blazers discover us. I'm Greg Berry, a UAB alum and Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. Every childhood has a soundtrack. Hers was Disney melodies echoing through living rooms captured on VHS tapes of homemade performances. Before medicine ever entered the picture for Letisha Jefferson, there was a girl who believed magic wasn't just in fairy tales, but everyday life. Known as Dr. J, she's a pediatrician who calls her work happy medicine, because for her, caring for kids is pure joy.
The beautiful thing about pediatrics is that most of the kids are so resilient that a lot of disease processes they bounce back from. So I kind of jokingly like to say I like happy medicine.
And when it comes to families, her goal is simple: make them feel seen and heard.
I love when I have new families who are bringing their newborns to me and they're like, we're sorry, this question's so stupid. I'm like, this is not a stupid question. You're a new family. Let's talk about it.
Then came a creative spark during maternity leave.
I was like, you know what? Why don't I marry my two loves of children's literature and what I do every day and create Zoe's Day with Dr. J.
Born in Huntsville with stops in Montgomery, Germany, and Kansas, Letisha Jefferson's childhood was a patchwork of cultures and adventures. After earning her MD in 2011, she eventually landed in Jacksonville, Florida in 2015 and hasn't looked back. From writing a children's book during maternity leave to turning everyday questions into teachable moments, she's redefining what it means to be a pediatrician. And for Letisha, it all started with a big imagination and a love for play.
I think as a kid, I had a big imagination. I used to always be playing and singing. We have old VHSs of me making up songs. And I was a Disney girl. I still am a Disney girl. So now living in Jacksonville, Florida, I frequent there often. But so I was very magical, very whimsical childhood. I think being an Army brat, I'm used to interacting with lots of different types of people. So it was always like a meshing pot of different cultures and people. And so I think it's made it really easy for me to navigate to different places and different spaces as an adult because of that military background.
Since you're a military brat and you're a Disney fan, would you gravitate towards Mulan and Merida because they're a little bit more fierce, or who is your princess of choice?
Oh, Ariel all day. And I think it's just kind of like when just where I was in life. I was 5 when it came out, and so I remember watching it on repeat, and then now they have reimagined it, a couple of years ago with the live action Ariel, and so. Yeah. So, I mean, I love all the princesses. Honestly, I can find something from each of them. But I think because of just where that developmental time in my life, Ariel's got my heart.
Is it that connection to the childhood that kind of kept you wanting to work with kids when you were growing up? Did you always know you wanted to be a pediatrician?
Oh, no, I didn't. No, funny thing, my dad, he's always like, he told me, he said, you're going to be the doctor. And my brother, he said, you're going to be the lawyer. And I was like, no way. I don't want to do that. Everybody, I was a pretty inline kid, but that was my act of rebellion. I'm like, no, I'm not. And so growing up in Huntsville, Alabama, we're there with NASA and Redstone Arsenal. There's lots of engineering companies. So I always loved math and science. I was like, oh, no, I'm going to be an engineer. And thankfully, and I always encourage a lot of my patients, I'm like, shadow. Make sure you take time to shadow different places, different professions, because you don't know what you don't know. And so thankfully, there are a lot of different programs when I was growing up. So NASA had NASA SHARP program. So my sophomore year, I believe, in high school, I did this program with NASA, and I worked the summer with a metallurgical engineer. And I was like, interesting, but I don't think that's quite the right fit. And then there was another program my senior year that I worked with Bosch Aerospace and worked with an aerospace engineer. And I really realized like, no, I need more people connection. So I like the science of it, but it felt more like, you get your project, you're really independent, and it felt kind of lonely. And so I gravitated back towards, people and medicine and kind of found my way with that. And then going into college, I was like, okay, I want to be an OBGYN. And my best friend, who's also a UAB alum, Melissa Scruggs, we had a plan to open up a joint practice together. We were both going to be OBGYNs. And then as I did my clinicals, my first rotation, I remember it was family medicine. I was like, this is okay. But I knew I didn't really love like the older population and all the pathologies with that. And so my second rotation was pediatrics. And I was like, oh, I love this. And so I just kind of fell in love with it. And I ended up studying pediatrics. And now she is a government contract lawyer in DC. So
It's always interesting to hear how you land in a certain specialty. And you
yeah.
said it was that rotation for pediatrics that drew you in. What was it that drew you to that specialty?
I mean, when you work with kids, you can't help but have compassion for them and just love them because they didn't, whatever ailments they had is not from their doing. It's not because they made poor choices or decisions. It's really just because, luck of the draw. And the beautiful thing about pediatrics is that most of the kids are so resilient that a lot of disease processes they bounce back from. So I kind of jokingly like to say I like happy medicine and what I love about being a general pediatrician in the outpatient setting is that even though we do have a lot of serious topics that we discuss with families and help them navigate through, and sometimes it's not always happy, but the majority of the time it is. We get to watch the kids grow, we get to walk through them during different phases of life, and I really enjoy that. I'm also not I don't like fast paced things where I have to make decisions on the go. I like to be able to take my time and think about things. And the nice thing about being an outpatient, if there's something I want to consider, I can easily tell a family, you know what, we have this relationship. Let me read some more. Let me think about this, and I'll call you later. I'll call you tomorrow. Like I can take my time and formulate a good plan that works for the patient and the family. And so I like that pace of it too.
Now, I want to rewind just for a moment. You grew up in Huntsville.
Uh huh.
You wound up majoring in biology. Why UAB?
Well, I wanted to stay in Alabama. I was thankfully a recipient of the GI Bill from my dad's military service, so I was afforded the opportunity to go to any in-state Alabama college. So I was looking in that realm. I want to get a little bit away from home, but not too far away. It's about an hour and a half away. I mean, I went home so much my freshman year, I used to still do my laundry at home. But I liked that. And I also did like the fact that there was a medical school associated with it since I was going down that path, because especially in retrospect, there were so many opportunities that I was afforded being connected to the medical school and having that undergraduate kind of path right to it that I wouldn't have experienced going to another school. So it really worked in my favor.
What was campus like when you were here? It was the mid 2000s when you were an undergrad. What was it like? Because it's changed dramatically
No,
even since
it
then.
really has. Yeah, and my husband's from Birmingham, and so I still go back pretty often. And every time I go, I'm just like, that wasn't there, that wasn't there. It's so amazing to see, but it was fun. It was lively. There were so many activities for us to get to know each other. I went to UAB with one of my high school and actually middle school best friends. And so we had each other, but all of the activities on campus really helped me kind of spread my wings and meet some of my lifelong friends to this day. Yeah, it was a great time. I found myself finding a community within like the UAB gospel choir with Kevin Turner. But I have wonderful memories from that time. I also joined a sorority. I was part of that Iota Phi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. So we did a lot of service events through that, as well as community events on campus. So I look back at my college years and I look back at them fondly. I had a great time.
What was that go-to study spot for you?
My bed. So, so I back to that sharp program. They had a somebody come in and talk about appropriate studying patterns. They're like, never study in your bed because when you are ready to lay down, you can't turn your brain off. And so when I got to college, I tried to go to the, Lister Hill Library. I tried to get my own room. I tried different things, but I'm too distracted. People walk by and I'm like, what are they doing? What are they up to? And I'm like, I can't focus. So for my whole life, the best place, even through medical school, in my bed with my books in my lap, is my best place to study.
No kidding. That is
So
incredible. And you were able to do well with studying because I assume the grades kept up because you wound up in medical school. So you made the transition from undergraduate career at UAB, and then you wound up back in the Heersink School of Medicine. Was it intentional to stay at UAB, or were you looking to go elsewhere as well?
UAB is world renowned and has a very strong medical program, so I definitely wanted to apply there. I also was keeping in mind the debt factor too. So I was looking at in-state schools primarily because of that as well. I wanted to make sure that my debt ratio was going to be lower because I knew that it would be a while, after residency and different things of that nature that I would be able to generate income. And so thankfully, I applied to UAB and then the University of South Alabama. And I honestly, UAB went so fast. I got accepted to UAB before I even finished my application process with South. So those were the only two schools that I applied to, and I accepted UAB right off the bat. So I'm glad I did.
A lot of people don't realize what the transition is like going from undergraduate to a professional school, whether it's dentistry, optometry, or in your case, medicine. Was it an easy transition for you, or how did you have to really adapt?
Well, it was a little bit of a stark transition, specifically because my senior year, I'm a morning person, so I had it such that all my classes were from like 8 to 12. So I was done with all my classes at the beginning of the day. I didn't have any classes on Fridays, so I was kind of living the life senior year. And then I went to medical school where on the first day, I remember one of the first lectures, he said, all of you guys were at the top of your class when you graduated from undergraduate. That's why you're here. That's going to stratify some. So, you got to prepare yourself for that. So brace yourself for that. And then at the time, our medical school had went to a different way didactic lecture. And so they were requiring you to be in school from 8 to 5. So you could no longer like pop in and out and decide which lectures you want to go to. So I went from being done at 12, no class on Fridays, to being in school Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So that was a big transition for me. And so I just had to readjust how I studied. Like I mentioned, I'm a morning person. So once I got home, I could study for a little bit. And while a lot of people were like, oh, I stayed up to midnight, 1 o'clock, I'm like, oh no, like I'm in bed by 9 at the latest. So I would get up early. I would get up before class at 8. So I would get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and study before school. And that worked for me so that I could get what I needed to do before we were expected to be in class for the full day. So it was hard. Those first 2 years you're really kind of in the classroom, but the last 2 years you're doing more hands-on, you're doing your rotations, and that's when it gets more flexible and honestly more fun because you're really applying those science to like real life experiences.
Did you ever have that imposter syndrome the first 2 years and go, gosh, this may not be for me?
Yes, yes. More so, I think so in residency, when I started doing more of my pediatric residency, that was harder because that responsibility load was more. I think with medical school, especially the first few years, it was just kind of finding your footing as far as work-life balance and just trying to like you just feel like you're always studying, and you're just not doing anything else but breathing that. But yes, that is something that I think a lot of people, most of us do go through at some point, but especially in residency, I think I felt that a little bit more.
You spent a lot of your life in Alabama, outside a few years in Germany and a few years in Kansas.
Uh-huh.
Here you are today in Jacksonville. When did you move to Jacksonville? Was it to establish yourself as a pediatrician?
Yes, yes. I moved here after residency in 2015. And so I've been with my practice, and luckily it's been the only practice I've worked with Carithers Pediatrics for the past 10 years. And it's been great. I'm a partner here. When I was looking at where to land after residency, I kind of was looking all in the Southeast. I actually have some extended family in Jacksonville. So I have some aunts here. So that kind of made it feel more homey. And I still had like a family connection here, but it's been great. And Jacksonville is still the South. It feels It feels like Alabama, to be honest.
I asked you about the transition undergrad to medical school. What's the transition like from residency, medical school to professional life?
I did an extra year. So after residency, I did a chief resident year. And so that was more like administrative and overseeing the program. So it wasn't as clinical. So again, kind of like it was kind of on the decline. So then coming into being a full-time physician, that transition was pretty good. I think I was so used to in residency, you work 80 hours a week, you get 4 days off a month. And now I went to a position where I'm like, oh, I currently work full time for which my practice is four days a week, and then I work about 1 weekend a month. So the pace of it actually felt a little bit less. Now, the heaviness of it, knowing that, okay, there's nobody looking over my shoulder, all of the clinical decision making is on me, that makes it a little bit mentally heavier. But I work with a wonderful group of physicians that we have a very collaborative practice. Like we have a big office, we all sit in the same office, we work together on patients. So, as my former residency program director, Mark Bugnan, said, never go down alone. So you're never alone. If you want to run a patient by somebody or get somebody else's thoughts, that's what makes us all succeed. So it was a pretty nice transition from residency to being a practicing physician.
And I might not remember it. Happy medicine, is that what you called it?
Yeah.
What is the day in the life of happy medicine for you?
Oh, for me, it's having I like a mix of well checkups and like acute sick visits scattered throughout my day. I love when I have like new families who are bringing their newborns to me, and they're like, we're sorry, this question's so stupid. I'm like, this is not a stupid question. Like, you're a new family. Like, let's talk about it. So I love seeing that, and then I get excited when I look at my schedule. I'm like, oh, I get to see so and so. I haven't seen them since last year, and we can catch up. So I kind of like a mix of that. I love when they come in and they're excited to see me and they remember, or I'm really bad with names, but I'm really good with like faces and stories. So when I can like, oh yeah, what happened with that test you took last week? Or, we were talking about this last year. Did you ever? And I'm like, you remember that? I'm like, yes, I do. I don't remember your name, but I will never forget your face and I'll never forget that story you told me. So that makes me excited and rejuvenated and just makes me happy and feel honored to be able to work where I do.
You've been in Jacksonville for 10 years. Your
Hmm.
husband down there with you. Oh, by the way, Zoe comes
Yeah.
along. When was she born?
She was born May 6, 2023. So she's 2.5 now. I feel like I'm a much better pediatrician because now I'm a mom. I used to always think like, oh, you don't have to be a parent, and you don't. You can still be an excellent clinician without it. But the practical knowledge that I've gained in the past 2.5 years has been immense. And I feel like I'm able to connect with my families on a deeper level because I can actually pull up something on Amazon, like, try this swaddle. This worked for my Zoe because she didn't like her hands swaddled either, or try this pacifier. Like, I can give more anecdotal stuff and I feel like I'm able to really connect. And I'm excited to kind of see how that knowledge base continues to expand as, she matures and I get that more hands-on experience.
That's something I think doctors don't actually realize sometimes because I think it is a big resource having a kid that you
Yeah.
can kind of look at and go, okay, I got real world experience with this one right
Yeah.
here.
And empathy too, because there's things like, you know what you're supposed to do, and you try to follow those guidelines, and then you're like, but I understand. And like now I'm like, I get it. I understand why you're 25 minutes late to your newborn appointment because they had a blowout. Like, I get it. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I'm definitely a better clinician because of her.
So you go from happy medicine to happy mom in a way,
Yeah.
having Zoe as a part of your
Yeah.
life. And that led to a book. What
Hmm.
what led to that? What prompted that?
I've always kind of been very creative, very kind of had that whimsical thinking. As a child, I used to write like poems and books, but never, never serious in literature. In fact, that was always my hardest subjects at UAB, English, literature. Those professors knew me well. But when I was on maternity, it's always kind of been in my heart, like I want to write a story, but I never knew what kind of story to write. And then when I was on maternity leave, I was like, you know what? Why don't I marry my two loves of children's literature and what I do every day and create Zoe's Day with Dr. J? And it's a rhyming children's book that walks with the main character Zoe through her 5-year-old checkup. Because I found a lot of times kids will come into the office just anxious and nervous about what they're going to experience. And I felt that if I had a tool that I could give to parents that they could utilize before the child comes in, that it would make for an overall better experience and they'll be less anxious. And so I honestly wrote that book on maternity leave in the middle of the night when I was waking up, pumping, getting, feeding her. And the notes in my phone, I wrote it. And it just took a while to find the right illustrator to kind of bring my ideas to life. But when I did, it just kind of clicked. And I was able to get it out earlier this year.
Is this a book you sit down and read to Zoe now?
Yes, and it's funny because I'll show her the book and I'll say, "Who's that?" And she'll say, "Dr. J." Like she doesn't like connect it like this was like inspired by us, but she does love to read it and she grabs it all the time. So that makes my heart happy as well. So.
Does she realize that's her?
I don't she so I have the book and I have like a little plushie doll, like a Zoe plushie doll. And so she'll say Zoe, but I don't know if she's actually made the connection yet that it's the same. But and she'll point to the picture. She won't say mama, she'll say Dr. J. So I don't think she's made that connection yet, but it'll be
So
fun when she does.
in 2.5 years, when she has that 5-year-old checkup, which is
Mhm.
what the book is about,
Uh-huh.
are you prepared to change things up and write a sequel just in case things don't go as planned?
Right. No, I don't know. I haven't. I would love to. I want this to be the first of many. So I don't know where Zoe's next adventure is going to be, but I feel like I want to keep her in this health space because it's been so nice seeing patients. I have patients come in with the book, the storybook, and I also did an activity and coloring book too. So they'll bring both of them in and show me what they think about it. They've been writing things in it. One of my favorite, another aspect from the book, I wanted to encourage kids to be a part of the conversation and learn how to kind of advocate for themselves in these healthcare spaces. So in the coloring book and activity book, there's a page on there like questions to ask my doctor, just so you can kind of prompt that conversation so they can bring questions in too, because I want them to know that I want their opinion and their involvement in this visit. I don't want mom just answering all the questions. So I hope to continue to create items that just kind of help further kind of help the healthcare space and that relationship between the provider and the family.
What do you think the logical next step is for Zoe's Day with Dr. J? What's the sequel going to be?
I don't know. I feel like she needs to go on another healthcare adventure, whether that's going to the dentist or maybe she's having a sick visit and learning how to, explain that and go through that because that's oftentimes very unnerving to children too. But haven't quite fleshed all those details out yet. But yeah, I'm excited about her next little adventure.
That's Letisha Jefferson, or Dr. J. She's a two-time UAB alum, earning her BS in biology from the College of Arts and Sciences in 2007 before being awarded her MD from the Heersink School of Medicine in 2011. As a pediatrician who makes a difference every day, she has a great idea of what it means to be a blazer.
It means to be a blazer, to be innovative, to be creative, and to be a lifelong learner. Like we mentioned, UAB has grown and changed so much. They're always doing something to further advancement in all areas. And that's what I want to do in my life. I'm a lifelong learner. I don't want to I'm not just a pediatrician. I'm not just a mom. I'm exploring this new author space. I'm learning leaps and bounds through that. So I think that's what it means to be a blazer. It means to be creative, a lifelong learner, and just, always just striving for excellence.
Thanks for tuning in to UAB Green and Told. You can catch up on all of our episodes at alumni.uab.edu/green and told on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. Got an idea for a guest? We'd love to hear it. Email us at greenandtold@uab.edu and stay connected by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Blazers.